Hello, hello to my True Blue crew. Let's see if there's any other early birds that set an alarm for our WIP Wednesday. WIP is a quilting acronym. WIP stands for Work in Progress. And I have a work in progress. I have been sewing lots and lots of stars. This is the Woven Star paper piecing pattern, and it comes, you can get a whole set of blocks like this from the Fat Quarter shop, and they just wrapped up a quilt along. Obviously, I did not finish my quilt, as you see the one of the rows here, and I have this many blocks left to make. You can see all, I've just cut apart most of the pages. For some of them, I made notes because I have a specific color that I want. I want to make them weave together. So this one was random, and most of the rest of the stars I'm making will be random, but I did want to sprinkle in a few that had a planned colorway. So I needed to make notes on my pattern for that. Hi, Karen, how are you today? What are you working on? So I did the first step and put the fabric on the wrong side of my paper. And so now I need to get set up. Hopefully I can get through this stack of star points while we are on this live. And it's always so motivating for me to have company when I'm trying to do a project like this, because usually I'm just, sewing by myself, trying to make interesting samples and patterns for the folks on YouTube. And I need to grab one of my random colors here. I think we're going to have, as you can see from my stack of fabric, we're going to have a lot of peach star points. The first step is always to fold the paper and trim your 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then you can use that cut line to line up your next fabric. So you're looking at the pattern side to make that first fold. And then you flip it over to the fabric side to line everything up. I was telling some friends over the weekend that I have not done a pattern like this that is the whole quilt of one repeated block in probably years. Most of my projects are more sampler. I may do 3 to 5 of the same block, but I have a lot more variety in my quilt. So this has been definitely a labor of love. I am going to be done with paper piece stars for a while after this project, I think. And Karen is working on binding a quilt that has a cuddle or minky backing. Those are so fun. I had a blanket like that on my lap this morning when I was enjoying my coffee, because the mornings are cool, but yeah, you don't get much use out of those. Remind me where you live, Karen, because I'm in Phoenix, and we are finally enjoying chilly mornings, but these afternoons are still, mid 70s. And as you can see, I'm in short sleeves. Don't need a lot of quilts. That's why we stick to the thin cotton batting for most of the quilts that I make. And now I'm going to take that stack and flip it over just so I have a variety of fabrics in my blocks. I was hoping to get all the blocks done. I was pretty ambitious. I went to a like a midnight sew-in last weekend. Our local shop stays open late, and we call ourselves the Pajama Mamas. Oh, Karen's in Idaho, and she's gonna pull out her Christmas quilts. Yes, I can see how you would switch up the decor. And I was seeing a headline that there was some bomb cyclone, they called the weather pattern. You've had heavy snow, or is that further to the west? Major winter storm hitting the Washington state area. I lived in Idaho for a year outside of Boise. Pretty area. Similar actually to the to parts of Arizona, that high desert. Okay, so now I've got the fabrics planned on this last block. So I will be adding the it's been a couple days, so I have to remember my abbreviations for these different fabrics. That's when it helps to have a fabric swatch. So you would take little bits of each fabric and put them on a separate legend so that you could remember what you were calling, fabric 1, 2, 3, etc. Why do I grabbed one and didn't pay attention to the writing, so I have to fix that so that my plan works out. Okay, and I've got my machine all set with its shorter stitch length, and now we can just chain piece our units. Right on the line of the pattern. So the holiday season really has begun. I can't believe all of the ads for Black Friday and sales and things already. Karen was asking how many woven stars are in this pattern. Hang on, let me grab the full sketch. There were 70, and I did the short rows up at the top and the bottom, so I would have something to share on social media. And so now I've got these 3 big rows right in the middle that have 11 blocks each. And I think I'm on the last set of 11. But I was hoping to get like 20 some done at the sew-in last week, and I got one set of 6 completely together, and then I got most of another set of 5 done, but I didn't have all the quadrants sewn together, so I got the individual parts done, but didn't finish the whole block. So I came home and worked on that a little bit these last few days. Yeah, Karen, I tend to overestimate my abilities, and somehow I don't, I say yes to way too much. So I'm trying to get better about that and really focus on, things that you, as my true blue crew, will enjoy sewing with me. But I'm at the complaining stage. I really have enjoyed this project. Paper piecing is just so precise and so, I mean, you have to think about it a little bit, but I've got the process down. I've done enough paper pieced patterns that I really can just get into that Zen flow of how the blocks go together. But yeah, I don't need to make a quilt that has 70 of the same thing ever again. But once you get everything prepped, I mean, that first step for these, I think I've got enough components for 3 different blocks tonight. We'll see if I can get that done before dinner time here on the West Coast. And I keep little snippets of fabric as my thread catchers or leader ender type thing. So when you're chain piecing, you can just run one little snippet behind and then take your whole chain out. And then I use my thread saver. I talk about that almost every live because it's just so handy to snip those threads. Okay, on to we repeat the process for the paper piecing steps, but first I have to finger press. So I just run my fingernail along, and I'm looking for the stitches there. I can almost see the threads peeking through. That way I know that is going to be really flat. Because one of the problems, if you finger press when you are paper piecing, you can get little bubbles like I'm showing in the workspace. If that fabric bubbles up a little bit, if you don't press it really, really flat. So the other thing I do after that first step is I lift up that first piece of fabric where it was glued down to the paper, and I just make sure that there's no stickiness left. So I won't have any discoloration or something going on with those fabrics. So I'm going to prep all these, and then I will get to the trimming stage again. Okay, so has anyone done a count of their unfinished projects? Are we cramming for the end of the year to get stuff done? Do you have holiday sewing that you're trying to finish up? I made a major push in the spring and finished some projects. I was working on some small things, charity quilts, lap size. And then this was a big project this fall. I did 2 quilts for Island Batik. I need to do a video about those. So that was early summer. And I've got one. Oh, I took a class in June with my guild, and I haven't finished that project. So that was a new start. That is a UFO for the year. And then I've got one other kit that I got from a friend and started on, that all the blocks are done. I was showing it in last week's live because I wanted to work on it. I was tired of these stars, but it's such an intricate pattern that I need to lay it all out on a design wall, and I didn't get around to doing that. And it's one of those things that it would make for a very boring live video as I'm studying the pattern, trying to figure out if I've got all the blocks going in the right direction. So I just set that aside, and I'll get that organized one of these days. I see, Karen, you learn something new every day with my tip on lifting up the glued piece. It helps that way you don't have any of that paper sticking at that point. Okay, so we're going to a bad camera angle. Hang on while the main feed moves, because I like to stand up when I cut, and not the most flattering camera angle. So again, if we have any people that are new to paper piecing, I am folding on the line. This is called an add a quarter ruler, and it just ensures that we get that 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I am being choosy about my fabrics. I am not doing any holiday sewing. My mother is also a quilter, and I just have one brother and he has 2 kids. So there's only 3 grandkids getting together for Christmas, and they all have multiple quilts. So they're kind of at that stage where they don't need any new quilts. And it's a little bit disappointing not to have an outlet. I'm going to have to get involved with other charity groups so that I have a destination for all of these quilts. So the fabric I am using for these stars is all from the same line called Laguna Sunrise. And there's one of the floral prints. This would be a really, really fun project with just your scraps, and that way you could make every single star different. But there were just 10 fabrics from this line that are being used in these different stars. So I do have quite a variety when I just randomly use 8 fabrics. Make sure I'm not repeating them in the blocks unless I've planned, like I'm back to these sections that I have planned the color scheme for. Let's check for the color there. Okay. Calling up my purple dots. And that last one is peach dots. And that's kind of why I don't sew with one collection, because you end up with the same fabric in different colorways. And that's just a little bit too matchy-matchy for my normal taste. Hi, Kathy. Yeah, I started a few minutes early. We're all fine. Wednesday night sewing. You can watch whenever. For those of you who catch the replay, hello, hello. This is the Woven Hearts pattern. It was a breast cancer research fundraiser sponsored by Fat Quarter Shop. And they just told us that they've raised over $13,000 this year, I think, through this quilt along. So good deal. Hopefully we can make that a rare disease. It feels like it's one of those things you either know somebody or you figure you're going to get it eventually. So I am trying to eat healthy and exercise. And oh, Kathy, congratulations. 3 years clear from breast cancer. Yeah, Karen is saying, following along with my comments about using all the colorways of the same print in one project, and you do see it more and more. But it really gets me if I'm choosing all the fabrics, I will shop the whole store to find different shades and different textures rather than use the red plaid and the blue plaid and the pink and all with the same little print on it. I like more variety. But I don't like just every color under the sun in my quilts. I like to have a planned color scheme, but then scrappy within the color families. So Kathy, tell us what you're sewing on tonight. Hi, Tasha. Yeah, I figured out my dual camera setup. So I'm using Streamyard, which allows me to kind of control things behind the scenes and then stream out to YouTube from there. And I set up my iPhone with the camera on a tripod that's looking here at my workspace. And you just send an email invitation to yourself. And then you can log into the StreamYard and set it up with the second camera. There is a little bit of an echo, but I just have to make sure that everything on my phone and on that workspace feed is muted. And I can hear it a little bit here in my sewing room because it's just like a second delayed. And so if I stop in the middle of a sentence, it's because I'm listening to the audio catch up from my other camera. Oh, Kathy is saying that she's enjoying sitting in her chair after a full afternoon of ruler work. So wonderful. Yeah. When I am free motion quilting, I tend to just do hand guided doodle type stuff. I very rarely have the patience for rulers. But it does create beautiful quilting designs. And I'm going to have to get cozy with the ruler because I have a customer double wedding ring quilt and she just wants echoes on the footballs, I guess you call them, the footballs, and then the main little square. But that's a project for this weekend and the holidays next week. So Tasha, I only have this many more stars to do. When I cut them all into fourths, it made the stack a little bigger, but I'm closing in on single digits left of the number of blocks that I need to make. Almost felt like I was sewing through two pieces of paper there. I think one was just stuck at the back of the presser foot. I need to pull it out of the way a little further. Start sewing the next unit. I have, yes, Tasha, you need to look at your progress from where you started, not with how much is left to go, because it feels like never ending for this project. But yes, I've done 75% of it probably. My other Wednesday night excitement is Survivor. I watched it years ago, when it was first the brand new show. And then I stopped watching it for a while. My husband wasn't interested in that kind of TV. And a couple years ago, I guess, I got back into it, and it's fun to watch the different challenges and imagine if you could do some of those obstacle courses and get by on coconuts and fish that you had to catch yourself. And I don't know. I'm not into any of the other, Big Brother or all the Bachelor series shows. I don't want to watch that kind of stuff, but the physical challenges and stuff is pretty interesting. I would never last on that kind of show because I am much too trusting and naive, and I want to get along with everybody. So the manipulation of people I would not do well. I'd probably stick around because I think of myself as easy to get along with. So I wouldn't be one of those annoying people they have to vote out right away, but I wouldn't last very long strategically. So what is Alone one of those like Discovery Channel ones? I'm thinking of the ones where they drop the survivalists out and they have to be at the meetup point in like a week, and they just are given a knife and a bottle of water. Okay, so I've got my 2 colors on each of these star points, and now I'm just going to add the white background to the 2 sides, and then we'll be putting blocks together. So again, for the trimming, I have to stand up. Bad camera angle, but that's the way it goes. I was able to use my AccuQuilt to cut all of my background triangles. So I've got a demo video coming out for that as well. That's going to be my theme for December, is all about AccuQuilt. And I'm also thinking of, I have a jelly roll pattern idea, and I'm thinking about doing a New Year's Day jelly roll sew along. So let me know if you think that would be any fun. I know for Tasha and some of you that still have kids at home, spending New Year's Day sewing is probably not something easy to accomplish, but those of us empty nesters. Although I'll have to start calling myself a boomerang parent, because my daughter decided to come home and do community college instead of living at the dorms and being away from home. So she is moving back in over Christmas, which is fine. It's, we want to put her on the best foot financially starting out and going into 6 figures of student loan debt is not the smartest idea. So I think I cut exactly the number of squares I need. So I still have to sew this whole entire pile of fabric. I think, maybe. Feel like I'll be here for another year every Wednesday. Yep, I'm still doing paper piece stars. All in the same peach and purple fabric. Still going. But no, I'll be able to. I've got another sew day this Saturday. I haven't been in a couple months, but I should be able to at least get all the blocks done and then have the top finished. And then it'll just go in the long arm pile. That's what I need to be doing on these Wednesday live streams, is just doing a quick pantograph on some of my quilts, because the long armor never gets her own projects done. Busy with customer work. Like I said, I've got a double wedding ring that I'm loading on my machine this week, and it's king size. So, whew, luckily she doesn't want very dense quilting, so I should be able to get it done. But yeah, that's going to take my time and attention for the next little while. And then I have a quilt that I was making planning to give my mother-in-law for Christmas. It's got some Christmas cardinal fabric. And if I don't get that thing quilted, she's not going to have a Christmas present. So that's kind of a deadline issue. But it means I have to get busy and get these customer quilts out the door. Okay, catching up on comments. Yes, Tasha, AccuQuilts are amazing. Little pricey, but definitely save you a lot of time. Alone is I'm going all the way back to the conversation with Tasha about reality TV shows. Oh my gosh. Surviving out in the wilderness for up to 90 days. Whoever, it's like those old-fashioned radio challenges where you have to touch the car, and whoever stops touching loses. Okay, Tasha, I'm glad to know that it's not like the end of the world if you come home after one semester away at college. you know, because there is that disappointment that, you know, you went off to do this thing and the 4-year thing and you end early, but many paths to get to the ultimate goal of the degree and the job. We just wanted to have a steady job. Hello, Joyce. So nice to see you. Joyce, I am still working on the Woven Stars. I am putting together all of the star points here. I cut about 3 blocks worth and am doing all the sections, chain piecing, and then we will sew them together. You definitely get more projects finished when you sit down and actually work on them consistently. I will say that's my little tip for you tonight. I set myself a goal to do an hour of quilting a day, whether that is piecing or at the long arm, and it really helps to make that commitment. I know that I log off because I'm an early bird. I joke that I live on East Coast time out here in Arizona, so I can get done with my work by 3:30 in the afternoon, and so that gives me more than an hour usually to work and quilt, and then spend the rest of the evening with my husband. Whoops, let me get that cup out of the camera view. So do you guys have to break your projects down with any kind of self-imposed deadline? If it, you know, if you're just loosey-goosey, I don't get things done. But we gave up our extended cable, so we only get like the major channels and then some really funny off brand, I guess, not any of the big, you know, Discovery or History Channel or anything. So the stuff that plays like the old 70s and 80s shows, like we can watch MASH every day, or they were playing the Mad About You sitcom in reruns, you know, the Friends reruns, all that kind of stuff. But we typically just watch football on Sundays and Blue Bloods. Although I do like NCIS too, so we watch that once a week. And the rest of the week, I'm either quilting or reading. I've been on a big kick to read, and I read. I have an eclectic mix of things I like to read. I like to read contemporary fiction, you know, kind of the chick lit stuff, romance novels, more uplifting. I love Marie Bostwick. She puts crafty plots, like her characters will knit or crochet or quilt or do some crafty thing. Oh, Joyce, yes, we need to get you paper piecing. So my goal in the new year is to put a few online classes out so that we can either do them live on Zoom, or I can just record them and you can go at your own pace. But yes, I want to do a beginner paper piecing and, you know, a beginner quilt, sampler quilt, I want to do one with my half rectangle triangle patterns. So I've got lots of ideas. It's just this silly day job that I still need to work to, you know, pay for my daughter's college. Cuts into my quilting time, but I say that with utmost humor because I do enjoy my job and I've got a very sweet deal. Like I said, I can flex my time so that I can start before 7 in the morning, which means I'm done before 4 in the afternoon. And it's 90% remote. So I'm here in the comfort of my own home. I could sew on my lunch hour. Okay, and occasionally I do that. You've seen some Wednesday lives at lunch when other things take up my evenings. New York Beauty, those are very fun quilts. I have a New York Beauty type design I'd love to get back to. I made a sample during my Island Batik era. I was an Island Batik fabric company ambassador for a couple years, and so we had monthly challenges. Okay, I'm putting on the last background for these star points that I think I said I had 3 blocks worth of pieces here. And hopefully I have enough in this last stack before I have to do more cutting. And, you know, I really should count how many blocks I have left to do and cut the exact fabric that I need. I figured when I was cutting the extra, when I was cutting the colored pieces, I figured that even if I cut too many, that these are a decent size to make into other blocks. So I wasn't too concerned, but the triangles I would like to be a little more exact on. Okay, so here we go for the last piece in our star block. So Joyce, I'm just cutting away the excess fabric that went past the area on the pattern that I need. And then I use that line to line up this triangle that will fit over spot 4. So you can see how I've made that piece bigger than it needs to be. And I just line it up and follow the pattern lines there. You know, it's like color by number. You're just sewing on all those little straight lines. Anybody taking time off next week besides the Thursday Thanksgiving holiday? I'm not a shopper unless it's fabric, of course. So Black Friday, being at the mall in the crowds is not appealing to me. So I'm going to go ahead and work. My husband has to work too, so we'll just enjoy Thursday. My mom's making the turkey, and I am going to take Brussels sprouts. I think my family enjoys Brussels sprouts. I'm going to try a fancy smashed Brussels sprouts with Parmesan something something fancy recipe I saw online. And then we'll have to put turkey soup on the menu because my mom sends the carcass home with us as leftovers, and we make a big soup out of that. So that'll be the weekend meals. So in addition to the romance kind of modern fiction, contemporary fiction, Marie Bostwick, heartwarming stories, that I alternate those with like crime cop dramas and mysteries and spy novels. So I truly do alternate. I make sure when I go to the library that I'm in the middle of this one series about a sheriff in Minnesota. And so, you know, it'll be a murder mystery and then a heartwarming romance, and then a murder mystery and then a romance, and then a spy novel, and then a contemporary fiction. Taylor Jenkins Reid, I've read several of hers and I enjoy those as well. I don't know if that really fits in the romance category. And I have to, when I was a teenager, I read all the Danielle Steele books. I have to say, they have not held up. I read one of her more recent ones and just thought the plot was so thin. And yeah, I didn't enjoy it. I read the whole thing. I have this, it's really hard for me to put down a novel in the middle and walk away from it. I have to finish it, even if it's not that great. Okay, there's our last star point in the pile. And I had enough triangles. I still have a few left, but I will have to cut, obviously, for my to finish the pile of blocks, because I still have maybe 10 or 12 blocks. Like I said, I haven't done an exact count. I counted all the papers out last weekend, and then I've cut them up, and so I have that many more star points to put together. Thank you all for keeping me company while I work on this project. It is the Woven Hearts. I'm sure you can still find it on the Fat Quarter Shop website. rushing through these last few seams here. I won't have time to put the stars together on camera tonight. But I will, hopefully, after my sew day on Saturday, I will be able to post a completed quilt top. That will be fantastic. And then this can be my January long arm project. How's that for setting intentions? Here we go. Oops, the workspace cut out. I heard a call come in, so it probably interrupted. Hi, Annette. How are you feeling? I hope you are recovering well. Yeah, Annette, those are all great romance authors. So we have just had a wonderful evening while I sewed my star points. I am trying to get the last 15 or so blocks done for my Woven Hearts quilt from Fat Quarter Shop. There are other people that kept up with the sew along and were able to get their quilt done. I don't. I fell behind. So that was that. And I need to go make dinner. I need to brown the hamburger. We're having chili tonight. Oh, Karen, yes, John Grisham. I'm going back in the comments. I don't read Stephen King. I'm not into the suspense horror stuff, although I did read The Stand by Stephen King. That was very good, but I'm more into it because of the kind of political, and I do like a good apocalypse story. Let me tell you, I read the Divergent series, Hunger Games. Those I really enjoyed. Yes, Annette, I when I get it all together, I did put 2 of the longer rows together. And I did most of the colorways pretty random. I tried to make sure there were 8 different fabrics. This one I planned so you can see the colors weave. So it shows the woven part of the heart. But most of them are just random colors there. And then you can see how my pressing ends up, because I finger press to one side when I'm putting the block together, but then the center seams, when I get the star point units together, I press those open so that the points, the block lays flat. So yeah, I love the process of the paper piecing. As I was saying throughout, I'm a little bit tired of this color scheme with just 10 fabrics, and I've been making stars for 6 weeks now. So I'm ready to move on to some different colors and more variety of fabrics, but we will have lots more sewing adventures. I'm going to take off. I hope everybody enjoys their evening, and we will be back here next week. Have a good sewing adventure. Take care. Thanks for being with me.